Oh yes, good morning. You are welcome to the fresh edition of your Oh yes, good morning. You are welcome to the fresh edition of your program. Our program, this is Summit, and you know the way we do it every week. You are welcome. My name is Banji Busari. Like other days, of course, you know we bring you top issues, national issues, global issues on our program Summit. Today is not going to be different. We're looking at issues in the polity, particularly the current administration's journey so far. How has it been? Of course, after the intense legal battles that has just been concluded at the Supreme Court, the current administration has got the kind of validation, endorsement, so to speak, to continue in office as a validly elected president. That's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has got the validation to run for 4 years in the first instance, and if he likes, he may seek a second time. You are welcome. On today's edition of the program, of course, you want to ask the usual thing about every administration is, what has he got to do? In the first 100 days, Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually gave a kind of a report, so to speak, of what it has achieved so far. But people think this administration is very, very slow, and it has actually unleashed so much hardship on the people. That's the thinking in the town. It's not for me to say it. I have a very good guest, somebody eminently qualified to talk on all these issues, an elder statesman, well respected, my very, very, very senior in the profession, an icon journalism. I'm talking about no other person than the former managing director, Daily Times Nigeria Limited, Chief Tola Adeni. It's my pleasure to have you on the program this morning, Summit. So you are most highly welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you as usual. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, all too soon, this administration led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is about clocking 6 months in office. After the first 100 days, he gave an account of stewardship. It was a potpourri of maybe plus, minus, and all of that. Now, 6 months down the line for the new administration, what has been your impression so far? I know that so much expectations. People had so much expectations about this administration. What has been your own thinking, your own general feeling about this administration since the assumption of office?
Well, it's a rather sticky question for me because it seems from what is flying around, it seems that political campaigns are still on. It seems political haggling, wrangling, and so on is still on. What I'm saying is that even the administration itself has not been given enough time or life to start working. What I'm saying is that the last 6 months or thereabout is still been argument here and there, waiting for them having litigations and so on and so forth. So that in other climes, when elections are concluded and the victor is sworn in, governance starts. But in the unfortunate experience of Nigeria, 6 months after elections, even when you read newspapers and go through the media, you watch television programs, all you see and all you hear will be arguments about who is this and so on and so forth, as if they're still campaigning. That's what I'm saying. The atmosphere has not been conducive to governance. It has not been conducive to really producing anything, because government itself has not been given peace of mind to deliver. And therefore, there have been a lot of hiccups in government policies, in policy formulations, and so on and so forth. And of course, the victim of such a situation is the citizenry. So you have somersaults here and there, and that had affected the economy very badly. And unfortunately for this administration and for the Nigerian people, the economy was already in a pit before this government took over. The economy has already snowdived, so that it's like you have a corpse that's was about to be buried. Nigeria was more or less a corpse by the time this government took over. And therefore, to ask or to properly evaluate the performance or the delivery will be very difficult, because the background that you want to assess the government with is itself not palatable. So when you're talking about inflation, you're talking about serious inflation, you're talking about currency devaluation, you're talking about insecurity, you're talking about several other flaws in governance. What you find is that they are just continuation of what had been. And therefore, it's difficult to pinpoint and say this progress has been made or these failures have been made based on the current administration, which is just more or less a continuation of what was. And what was very bad. I don't know whether I answer your question, because
now,
that's
what was very bad. You refer to the series. What was very bad, because you just referred to the series of litigations that have just been concluded. Now let's take our mind back to May 29, when this administration commenced. Now, do you think, in your own assessment or your evaluation, this administration started on a sure footing, particularly with the case of the removal of subsidy? Energy has become so expensive. When you talk about light, you talk about fuel, you talk about other forms of energy, so expensive these days that to run the economy itself is almost becoming comatose.
Yes.
So do you think this administration started on a sure footing by that policy?
The thing is that it was just unfortunate, and as I think his Fashola son, who in one of his interviews said that budget for subsidy had already been removed. Well, there was no budget for subsidy at the time Buhari was going. In other words, President Tinubu didn't have to make that pronouncement at all, because there was no provision for subsidy in the current
budget,
in the current administration. So the subsidy provision had already been removed. So it wasn't Tinubu that removed the subsidy. There was no provision for subsidy beyond June of this year. So whether he announced it or didn't announce it, but the subsidy removal had already been effected, already been pronounced by the action of the foregone government, that is the government before this one. In other words, to answer your question, that was, did it start on sure footing? And quoting the issue of subsidy, I don't know where to place that, because the sure footing that would have been okay had already been weakened, the footing had already been removed by the previous administration regarding subsidy matter, regarding the suffering and the fallout of the subsidy removal, because subsidy removal had already been made by the previous administration, because subsidy provision was not in the budget. So we cannot, I don't want us to base the sure footing or the takeoff of government quoting the issue of subsidy removal. There are many other things that probably the government had done aside from the subsidy removal, which we may look at. But the inflation, the fallout of subsidy removal, in my view, had nothing to do with the Tinubu administration. Okay. In other words, if Tinubu had not come in as president, if no government had taken over in May 29, we will still have been we will still be having what we have in now.
All right. Let's look at the fallout of the subsidy removal.
Yes.
There has been the high inflation,
yes,
job losses, and let me say hardship in the land. Do you think government is doing enough? Of course, government has rolled out plans, CNG buses, palliatives, and maybe a supposed review of the minimum wage and all of that. Do you think government has done enough to actually impact, make life easier for the common man there?
As far as I'm concerned, all the steps taken so far are being just scratching the surface. I mean, the situation is deeper than buying buses, giving people 1 million, sharing 230,000, giving people bags of rice, or student loan or student grant and all that. All those measures did not touch anything as far as I'm concerned. That they are not capable of ameliorating the situation that Nigerians are in today. If you give them bags of rice, which they will consume within a week, or you give them 230,000 or give $1 million to everybody, $1 million today is just $1,000. What would that achieve? Or buying buses, and so how many buses can any government provide in Lagos today? A population of almost 25 million, according to World Bank figures. So how many buses do you want to give to 25 million, a population of 25 million?
So what are your recommendations for the mitigation of all these problems? What would you have done better if you were?
What they could still do is, again, it's not something that will be done in a week or in a month. Getting the refineries working so that they don't have to take crude oil out and so on. Patronizing homemade goods. If again, for political correctness, they will not be able to do it. But maybe the inflation and the devaluation of Naira will do that indirectly, because people are now looking inwards. Nobody is now thinking of buying champagne from outside or buying wine from outside and so on and so forth. Even the ones that have been smuggled in, they are just on the shelf. Nobody is buying them. So in other words, if there's a way they could prevent luxury goods from coming in, if there's a way they could stop importation of unnecessary luxurious things, if there's a way they could stabilize the education of the youth of the country, because education has collapsed. Primary schools, secondary schools, universities, polytechnics, they virtually collapsed because the agreements made with the labor and organizations in those universities and those education institutions were not respected, were not kept by previous government. So there's huge frustration in the land. So one of the things that could have been done to make life a bit more tolerable would be taking care of the education sector, so that people will not need to be sending their children to Ghana, to Togo, to Canada, and so on and so forth, which they could hardly afford. If there is stability in the education sector, within the country. And that one is something that could have been done in the last 6 months.
Okay,
it's not done.
Thank you. You just spoke about banning foreign luxury goods and all that. Government recently lifted ban on 43 items, rice inclusive. Now, if you look back to the last administration, where so much was actually spent by CBN, Anchor Bora scheme and all of that, to produce rice in large quantities and other for internal consumption, do you not say that as something that is taking us back?
I think it's unfortunate. I think I'm actually the wrong person to interview on this subject. I must tell you. When you're talking about rice, I'm sure you remember sometime last year or year before, a governor invited Buhari for, I think they're doing commissioning or
pyramid rice, which we found was a scam. So all the money spent on rice, on fertilizers, we know now that such monies went into private pockets. All the noise made about rice production, fertilizer production, we now realize that it was only a ruse. There was no rice. It's only a ruse. So I don't know where to, like I said, I don't know where to place this government. And the issue of rice, or the issue of all the corruption that had beclouded the nation, since what we have at the moment is just a continuation of the previous government, so to say. And you have a new government that is peopled majorly by the characters in the previous government. So if they say they lift ban on rice importation, of course I would not say it's a bad thing, because there's no rice in the land and people must eat. And rice I wouldn't consider a luxury item. Rice is not a luxury item. People must eat. It is like if they have to bring gari from Cotonou or from Accra, so be it. I won't consider that as a luxury item. All right. We started this interview by your opinion that it appears as if campaign is still on.
Yes.
Now, before the final judgment at the Supreme Court, the president was actually asked if he will create a government of national unity and to bring in the opposition into this administration to run it together. And his response was that that decision will be based on the reaction of the litigants after the judgment. Now, do you think this administration, and then the mood in the town would actually be okay for government of national unity?
Well, I don't know. When they talk of government of national unity, again, it's just a play on words. National unity where? Is there any unity in the country? Country has been terribly polarized along the religion, along ethnicity, along the lines of religion, along the lines of so on and so forth. So when you're talking about government of national unity, which national unity? Which unity is national? Is there any unity in the nation that will qualify for the word national unity? And when they say they're forming government of national unity, or whether that has been achieved or not, then you ask yourself, government of national unity based on what? Is it based on political characters, where you know that more than 90% of those who have been appointed into various offices are partisan politicians, and politicians that will be, if you are talking of national unity and you say, okay, let's have people from opposing parties or people from so on and so forth, when you realize that there is actually no opposing parties, all the parties you have, the characters you have in politics are just like people playing chess.
One and the same?
Yes. So we have people who have been chief executive, been chairman, they have been secretary general, they have been publicity secretary of a party, Panadol. and the same party from those people who are in Panadol are now in party Tamujin or in party Fensik, and vice versa. So the same people who are in Panadol are now in Fensik, those in Fensik are now in Panadol. So when you are saying you are having politics of government of national unity, which unity to start with, and which people that you are bringing into national unity? People who have been in the same, in the same bowl, they've been drinking in the same bowl. So whether they are now wearing Panadol cap, or they are wearing Tamujin cap, or they are wearing Epsom salt or salt cap, they are still the same characters. So they are still united in their struggle for sharing national cake. They are still the same characters.
All right. This government has actually come out several times to show and then to talk about seriousness to move the nation forward. After about 6 months, this administration has just had the first retreat a couple of days ago, and the part of the directive handed down to the ministers by the president was that you either shape up or ship out. That those amongst them that are unable to meet up with the minimum expectation of the people will be shown the way out. Now, looking at the configuration, the composition of the ESCO, do you see any hope of they taking us to the Eldorado?
I've just said that it is unfortunate that I consider myself the wrong person to interview along those lines. Whether I should comment on whether the characters who went on retreat are those that are going to produce El Dorado for Nigeria. One, I don't have any confidence in the characters that went on retreat.
48 of them?
Most Nigerians don't have confidence in a higher percentage of them. Nigerians over the years have been made to lose confidence in politicians. They've been made to lose confidence in government. So to expect that people went on retreat and Nigerians will be clapping for them and saying, yes, the El Dorado is here, is just self-deceit. I'm not even aware that there was any retreat.
There was it.
And I consider myself to be fairly current on national issues.
Some people posit that Nigeria has never been polarized as much as we are currently experiencing now.
Unfortunately.
Occasioned by the last election.
Exactly.
That's the 2023 election.
Okay.
Now, what would you recommend as a recipe for unity, for love, for togetherness of all the regions of this country?
That's a very loaded question. It will mean changing the hearts of everybody. It will mean changing the values of everybody. But talking seriously, the struggle for power or the possession of power should be made a lighter thing. It should not be a do or die affair. In other words, if membership of assembly, national and state, if it is part-time, the rancor will reduce. If election petitions are settled before people are sworn in, all this tension will also reduce. In other words, if you contest election and you know that if you fraudulently get to where you are and there is petition and you are going to be disqualified before you are sworn in, the tension will also reduce. Then there's been so much emphasis on exploitation of religion of exploitation of ethnicity, and there's been so much bad blood infused into political propaganda. And again, something must be done to advise on the tone of campaigning, the tone of. In other countries, there are things that you cannot say when you are campaigning. There are things your party should not do. All those have to be put in place. But I'm not a political scientist. I'm not the one. I cannot pretend or assume that I will have all the solutions to the problems confronting the polity or confronting political structure of the country. But I agree with you, the country has been so much polarized and has never been this polarized before Buhari came to power. Buhari, may God forgive him, was the major architect of most of the calamities you referred to concerning the polity of the country at the moment.
Thank you very much. That's been a very, very comprehensive one coming from the, like what you sage too. But certainly an icon of journalism, our elder statesman, Chief Tola Adini, who has actually bared his mind on a wide range of issues. Yes, but certainly there's a lot to take away from what he has actually submitted on this edition of the program. We certainly cannot thank you enough, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Sincerely appreciate
I appreciate you. Thank you.
As Yorubas would say, thank you so much. So that's how is it on the first segment of the program. We'll be transiting to the next segment of the program, where we showcase the activities of Lagos State government in its giant strides in education, in health, in other areas. And Lagosians are in for a good time this second time of Governor Sanwo-Olu. That's our package today on this edition of the program. See you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Tuesday, 26 September 2023, inaugurated 15 classroom blocks of Ogombo Senior High School, built by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials Council. This intervention was delivered to bolster education in the Ogombo community, Etiosa area of Lagos State. The non-governmental organization led by the wife of the governor, Dr. Mrs. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, built the first senior secondary school in the community to address the plight of deprived pupils who had to trek long distances from their homes to senior secondary schools in neighboring towns. The event had the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, the deputy governor's wife, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat, the Oba Ogudu Oshodi of Ogombo Kingdom, Oba Abiodun Ogombo, other traditional Dr. Sanwo-Olu built the first senior secondary school in the community to address the plight of deprived pupils who had to trek long distances from their homes to senior secondary schools in neighboring towns. The event had the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his deputy, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, the deputy governor's wife, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat, the Oba Ogudu Oshodi of Ogombo Kingdom, Oba Abiodun Ogombo, other traditional chiefs, education stakeholders, and council members in attendance. It was all excitement for parents, teachers, and pupils in the community who trooped out in their numbers to mark the project's commissioning. The wife of Lagos State Governor Dr. Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, who is the chairman of council, said the project was done in partnership with Lagos State Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools, SCRPS, and that council's intervention was driven by its passion to support development programs of the state government in disadvantaged areas, stressing that the Ogombo School project was informed by the need to address amenities shortfall in the community.
A Scottish proverb says, and I quote, "There is no greater fraud than a promise not kept." A year ago, council made a promise to Ogombo community, and we are here today to fulfill our promise as we officially commission this great edifice to the glory of God and the benefit of mankind. As mothers of the land, it is our prayer that God Almighty will empower the school management with wisdom and knowledge to raise great leaders of tomorrow. In Jesus' name, amen. I am delighted to be part of history being made today as the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials, Council, in partnership with Lagos State Special Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools, to officially commission the Ogombo Senior High School project. This journey commenced in December 2021 when Council realized that Ogombo community needed a senior secondary school. Our children here had to go very far if they want to do the senior secondary. The junior secondary school is on the other side over there, and because of the senior secondary school, we have learned that they have demolished the junior one so that they can rehabilitate it so that it can be at par with the senior secondary school. That is what the Committee of Wives of Lagos State have been able to influence in Ogombo community. I think the people in Ogombo have a special prayer because they keep on drawing us back to this community all the time. To the glory of God Almighty, this magnificent edifice was completed in November 2022, 12 months to build it. The building is well built, constructed on piles. Now, we had to learn a lot during this time. We didn't understand what piles, but I had my vice chairman. She was the one coming, showing pictures of what piling means. Thank you very much, sis. The foundation type was advised from a well-conducted geotechnical subsoil investigation, being the standard procedure states. Standing before us today is a fully completed and equipped 3-floor educational structure with 15 ultra-modern classrooms, 30 toilets, libraries, laboratories, ICT centers, offices for teaching and management staff, as well as well-equipped sick bay. There are also staircases and a ramp from ground floor to topmost floor, which underscores the inclusion of students and staff with disabilities as end user of this facility. The facility has toilet provision for people with disabilities on all floors, from a borehole, and the movement and safety of the physically challenged was also considered. We realized also that there are some public schools that didn't have the ramp access for the children to climb up the staircase. So we, in our research, was able to incorporate this into. Not only that, to ensure that the toilets that these children with special needs use are special types of toilets in the facility. We make bold to say that this is the first of its kind in our Lagos State schools and even many more states in the country.
Governor Sanwo-Olu, in his address, described the intervention as outstanding, noting that the project will bolster his administration's drive to improve access to education and raise the bar of academic excellence in the state. He commended Council for being a dependable partner in actualizing the vision of one of the pillars of its administration, Themes Plus Agenda.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that it's with immense joy and happiness that I join you this afternoon. You, the good people of Ogombo community, Etiosa, and Lagos at large, on the commissioning and the formal handover of this beautiful school edifice that has been constructed and here be donated by the Committee of Wives of Lagos State Officials Council. This is indeed a beautiful day, not just for the Ogombo people of the Ogombo community, but also for all of us in Lagos State government under my able leadership in our continuing drive to raise the bar of education in our state. Let me on your behalf express our appreciation and that of the people of Lagos to Council under the able leadership of the chairperson, my darling wife, Claudiana Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, who continues to be a dependable partner with our deputy who chairs the committee that saw to this project, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat. And the two of them and all of you have helped to realize and actualize the dream that you've touched on our education and technology. We've continued to see the improvement and the role that Council has played with successive government. They have been especially evident through the several initiatives that have directly and indirectly affected the lives of our children, the lives of women, the lives of the elderly, youth, fiscally challenged, and the less privileged in our society. And so on behalf of the government and the people of Lagos State, I want to thank the current and the previous leadership of Council for all the great work that they have done with us as partners in progress. Thank you very, very much. I would also like to use this opportunity to restate our strong commitment to the provision of modern school infrastructure in all of our public schools. A key part of this is the construction of new schools blocks in various parts of the state. It is also important for us to congratulate the good people of Ogombo community. Kabiyesi and all of you, this is your school. It is your assets that government has provided for you. And so it's your duty, like the First Lady said, from today onwards to protect it, to ensure that nothing goes wrong in the school, to ensure that no window is broken unduly, no riot, no unrest come to any of your facility. The purpose is to ensure that government will be encouraged to come and do more, because you need to stay vigilant, you need to engage, and you need to ensure that the building is well managed, is well maintained, for future, current and future of the children that are going to come out of these schools, and that we can mold them into big future leaders. And so Lagos State is grateful for your intervention. Lagos State is grateful for your support. I want to urge other similar organizations in Lagos or anywhere in the world or in the country to emulate what Council is doing, and to see that it's not only government that can intervene in your own little space. You can intervene and you can do something for your community. You can do something for the host community or anywhere you find yourself.
Giving an overview of the project, the wife of the Deputy Governor of Lagos State and Chairman Council Project Committee, Mrs. Oluremi Hamzat, described Ogombo Senior High School infrastructure as a masterpiece fitted with modern state-of-the-art facilities and built in a completely serene and enabling environment for soundness of mind for children to learn.
We at Council are sincerely grateful, sir, to you and your entire staff, Cabinet, for your support and development strides in the state. The objective of this project also conceived in line with Mr. Governor Third Pillar Education and Technology First-Time Teams agenda of the state. The government has made it a call of duty not to leave Lagos State children behind in terms of education and development. This patriotic act of service to humanity has brought Ogombo Senior Secondary School with the aim of developing responsible and encouraging learners in Ogombo town to foster tolerance, respect, and acceptance of others, and to build each student resilient, self-esteem, and to also provide a rich, relevant curriculum that empowers all students to study and be successful in life. Ogombo Senior Secondary School is a masterpiece fitted with modern state-of-the-art facility and a completely serene and enabling environment for soundness of mind of our children, which in turn is a panacea of a thriving and prosperous state by the extension and country in Nigeria generally. The Committee of Wife of Lagos State Official Council has reportedly keyed into Mr. Governor's vision for the unfiltered world-class and quality education for all peoples in Lagos State, regardless of where they live. Or the social economic status of their parents or guardians, towards planning and execution of this dynamic project we are commissioning today. Council, under the leadership of my darling sister, Dr. Mrs. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, the amiable wife of our dear governor, has become a huge platform fully committed to supporting infrastructural development of our dear state, supporting the noble and worthy initiative of our dear husbands, and positive impacting the general well-being of all Lagosians, both young and old. Thank you, ma, for your reckless effort and innovation ideas. In the same vein, let me acknowledge and commend the entire project committee members. Can you please, they are standing already, so I can't tell them to stand. Can you please give them a round of applause? I really appreciate you. You have been most gracious, responsible, resourceful, reliable, and very supportive sisters. Thank you very much for making the job seamless for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, we really appreciate you. Appreciation always goes to the entire committee members of large, the education family, under the leadership of Mr. Hakeem Smith, management and staff of Lagos State Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools, and other stakeholders that supported us in the construction of this iconic edifice standing tall in Ogombo. Lastly, I would like to reiterate our commitment to passionate pursuing our dreams of continually leading a hand in making Lagos the city of excellence.
The high point was the cultural performance organized by pupils of the benefiting community in showing appreciation to council and the state government for the intervention.
Gómìnà Sanwó-Olú àwa. Bàbá dára ó sì lẹ́wà. Ibikíbi tó wù lè lọ. Ọba òkè aṣàlàtìlẹ́yìn wa ó wù wá o. Ó wù wá o. Ìlà orí rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Bàtà ẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Aṣọ ọrùn rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Àgò ọwọ́ rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Màmá Ìbíjọkẹ́ àwa. Màmá dára ó sì lẹ́wà. Ibikíbi tó wù lè lọ. Ọba òkè aṣàlàtìlẹ́yìn wa ó wù wá o. Ó wù wá o. Gèlè orí rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Bàtà ẹsẹ̀ rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Aṣọ ọrùn rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Àgò ọwọ́ rẹ̀ ó wù wá o. Bàbá Hamzat àwa. Bàbá dára ó sì lẹ́wà. Ibikíbi tó wù lè lọ. Ọba òkè aṣàlàtìlẹ́yìn ó wù wá o. Ó wù wá o.
Anyị na-anabata Gọvanọ Sanwo-Olu. Anyị na-anabata Mọmị Sanwo-Olu.
Daddy, I'm
the school for Ruji. Pim, 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 pim. Adezemo. Adeze matadima. Adeze putaba. Nena nana chogi. Adeze. 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 Mama no ma. Mama in. Adeze. 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 Mama in. Mama no ma. Adeze. 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 Adeze.
Yara ogombo muna 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 shigo adomi wana babara nayo. Yara ogombo muna 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 shigo adomi wana babara nayo. Ala mungode maka. Ala mungode maka. Ala muna godia mungode maka. Ala muna godia mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka. Ala muna godia mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka. Ala uba mungode maka.
The member representing Etiosa Constituency 1 in the House of Assembly, Honorable Nahim Adams, conveyed the town's appreciation to council and the state government for the intervention, promising that the project would be sustained.
Our Etiosa governor, our performing governor, sir, Mr. Project, want to thank you very much for the support that you have given to us in Etiosa. Not only in Etiosa, but the whole of Lagos State. Mr. Governor, I am still coming back, sir. To our Deputy Governor, sir, thank you very much for supporting our governor. And for supporting the Teams Plus agenda. Mr. Deputy Governor, sir, thank you very much for supporting our Mr. Governor. Please, I have breached the protocol. I'm supposed to have called our mother, the First Lady of Lagos State, the mother of Lagos. Mama Gogwani Gogwego. If I don't say this, Baálẹ̀ Mòpó wọn ò ní dáríjì mi. Wọ́n ní àwọn ní ilẹ̀ tí wọ́n lè fi kọ́ school. Ilẹ̀ tó fẹ́ fi kọ́ school yẹn wọ́n dẹ̀ ti náà ní ìfẹ́ tó máa fi kọ́. Baálẹ̀ gọ́vnọ̀ ti ní àwọn máa direct àwọn script. Yín pé immediately call movie pé kọ́ approve ẹ̀ fún yín ṣùgbọ́n máa fún yín specimen bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa ṣe mo ti bá wọn sọ.
The bedrock of every contemporary society and Ogombo is not an exception. Hence, the importance and the necessity of such academy building project to our community. The building will serve as means to extend learning opportunity to our children, knowing fully well that they will become the leader of tomorrow through their academic attainment. To achieve academic excellence and conducive environment, modern learning equipment and quality manpower are necessary to groom our God-given children to become our backbone as well as ambassador in the society and the world at large. I also want to use this medium to appeal to our mothers under the umbrella of KWASO to help speed up the renovation of the junior secondary school. May God bless our mothers. Finally, I appreciate the committee of KWASO of Lagos State official once again for the kind gesture toward our kingdom. We equally remain committed to support government effort in making our kingdom a sustainable place for academic excellence.
Council members as a group appreciated the governor and his deputy for their support from the start to the end on the rehabilitation of Ogombo Community Senior High School.
Council, the wife of Lagos State officials, we are now 450 something thousand. So we are here on behalf of everybody to appreciate you for always supporting us and allowing us to carry out a lot of our projects. We still have a lot of projects coming, sir. We are like a prodigal son. We ask for more all the time. So we are still coming, sir. So on behalf of council and my chairman of council, your darling wife, we are saying a big thank you to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you, sir. A máa jú yín ṣe ni sá o, ẹ ní dààmú, a máa tilétilé tọmọtọmọ, àwa náà àdẹ̀ ní jábọ́ lẹ́yìn yín o, ìlú Èkó a máa gbòòrò sí ni o, àwa dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ yín náà tẹ́ wá o, àdélébáre, àrìnàkóre, àkùrẹ́ ibi.
A ní bàbá kan, bàbá rat. A ní bàbá kan.
The governor, his entourage and council members went on a tour of the school facility, and the structure was officially declared open by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Apparently, this laudable project will boost the Themes Plus agenda of Lagos State government in the educational sector. We cannot but commend this intervention by a non-governmental organization such as the Committee of the Wives of Lagos State Officials Council, which has considerably bridged the infrastructural gap in the educational facilities in the state. It is hoped that other NGOs will take a cue from the initiative of Council for the purpose of growth and development in the state.